the oldest tale there is, isn't it?
We have faced down death, famine, war to hold these lands together.
You do not command the loyalty you think you do.
Rebels of Rohan, arise!
We have to get our people out.
Don't give up.
You're stronger than I knew. Rohan still stands!
The Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. Only in theaters, December 13th.
Well, isn't that something special? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Tolkien. I can see the chat room, and I know you guys couldn't hear the first one because I don't know why that didn't work, but it worked the second time. Now we're here. Hello, Robin. Hello, Laswin. Anonymous Girl is in there. Adelante. I see people from Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. And X wants me to pay for blue check to stream to X, and I'm not paying. I'm not going to. Not going to do it. Elon. No, thank you. Good evening, Nigel. Good evening, Emma Jane. Welcome to Torn Tuesday. I'm your host of today, Mr. Justin, and Mr. Clifford is delayed as Ents or wanted to. As Ents want to? Anyway, Cliff will be here later in the show. I don't know when. I don't know how. But I know something's starting right now. And that's this show without Cliff. Makers of Middle Earth is in here. Hi, all. London had a time change. So it is midnight in London. So I expect we have a lot more London viewers as of today, and that's really exciting. Except our clocks change this weekend, and we'll I guess we'll be back on par. Wait, I don't know how any of that works. Let's get into it. You just saw the brand new trailer, 30-second trailer for the War of the Rohirrim that was just released today, and if you noticed, at the end of that trailer, the voiceover guy says, "The Lord of the Rings," and then War of the Rohirrim. And the Lord of the Rings logo is equal in size. Anyway, wait, where'd it go? I just lost it. I might have closed the tab. Hold on. Let me bring this back. Let's take a look at, because this is a change in marketing, and I want to know from you in the chat, do you guys
We have faced down
The Lord of the Rings.
So look at that. Well, nope. Go back here. There we go. So look at that. The Lord of the Rings logo is actually bigger than the War of the Rohirrim logo. They want you to know that this is 100% definitely a Lord of the Rings film. You're going into cinemas to watch The Lord of the Rings, to return to Lord of the Rings. This is a market right now, as of today. This is officially marketed as a Lord of the Rings film. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys agree with the idea of these spin-off movies that we're going to start getting? This is just the first of 3 that we know of, possibly more. Do you agree that these movies coming to cinemas should all be first and foremost Lord of the Rings? And then secondly, whatever the subtitle is, War of the Rohirrim, Hunt for Gollum, Temp Name, all of that stuff. So I'm curious to know how you guys feel about that. And it's interesting because The Rings of Power, the TV show from Amazon, which is unrelated to the movies, have really dived in specifically on just the name, The Rings of Power. And in fact, they renamed all of their social accounts from LOTR on Prime. They are now all at The Rings of Power. They during season 2, Prime Video kind of got rid of the Lord of the Rings branding and committed to using only the rings of power. That is the opposite of what Warner Brothers seems to be doing, which is diving more into the Lord of the Rings branding. And I wish Cliff was here. I could back and forth with him a little bit on this. But since he's not, I want to hear from you, the fans. Finrod says, I want spin-offs to follow mostly the text and not be overexpanded with original context. Well, content. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. There isn't a lot to work with in between the pages and the appendices. They're going to have to fill in a lot of the story because Tolkien just didn't write a lot of the story. So, there you go. Anyway, exciting times. That was a great trailer, by the way. Great trailer. I really liked it. And it really sells the movie. It really sells the action. But I was really impressed with calling it The Lord of the Rings. Basically, come back to theaters this Christmas because you're going to go watch Lord of the Rings. Finrod, if there isn't a lot to work with, don't do that story. That's every story. If there isn't a lot to work with any story that is going to be told from here on out. The movies have been made. The Hobbit trilogy was made. The Hobbit book was made into a fat trilogy. The Lord of the Rings movies were the best movies ever made. It's done. So anything from here on out is not based on a fully developed story as we've come to receive from the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies. But yes, a Lord of the Rings Christmas movie. We are so back. Last Wind says it's interesting, particularly when there's the mention of Mordor after the ring in the first trailer, and no one would have picked a ring to link to Helm's story. Right, exactly. It's interesting. You know what? Let's get into some of the stuff since Cliff's not here. We're going to Green Dragon gossip this, folks. Just I'm going to tell you right now. When Cliff's away, the mice will play. So we're going full Green Dragon gossip this episode. I'm going to give you all of the dirt, all the rumors, all the gossip. Some of it may be true. Some of it may not be fully accurate. I don't know. It's just the gossip I'm hearing. Should we have fun with this? Let's have fun. Okay, let's have fun. All right, first up. According to Tolkienverse, the Rohirrim will have a 40-minute battle. According to producer Jason DeMarco, one of the most impactful scenes will be the Siege of Edoras, which will feature an epic 40-minute battle. This makes it one of the longest battles in cinema history, on par with Pelennor Fields and Helm's Deep. In fact, I believe the Helm's Deep battle clocked in at around 40 or 45 minutes in total of screen time. So, they are absolutely delivering a Lord of the Rings movie experience with a 40-minute Siege of Edoras. This is great. Last Wind says, still not sure where they're quoting DeMarco from. I believe he says it in the Nerd of the Rings interview on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, Nerd of the Rings has posted a 20-minute long video with interviews from everybody at New York Comic Con. And in the middle of that is Jason DeMarco, and I believe that's where DeMarco says it. So, again, Green Dragon gossip, whether it's true, whether it's false, I wasn't able in time to find the actual source. But, you know, what I did find is a wonderful, wonderful man, and a man all about town. Here he is, the one and only Mr. Clifford Broadway.
Well, hello there, everybody. It is a pleasure to be with you on another Torn Tuesday. With a little help from my friends. I am so glad to be here and sorry to be late, but as you know, a wizard is never late. A Mithrandir is never late, nor is he early. So, Justin, it's wonderful for you to open up the show on our behalf today. What an exciting thing. Lots of birthdays, lots of great news, and some very exciting screenings that have come to our attention. Boy, do we got stuff to talk to you guys about. Welcome to Torn Tuesday.
It's a
once
full
again, everybody.
Green Dragon Gossip episode. So, Cliff, let's jump
I'll
right
say.
in. What do you think
Let's jump
about
right
the
in.
40-minute Siege of Edoras scene? Do you think there's any truth, and do you want a 40-minute epic Siege of Edoras battle in
Yes.
anime?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, because there's a layer of abstraction that you can add to the storytelling process with animation. You could do things in a 40-minute battle that even Peter Jackson could not do filming completely overnight scenes for Battle of Helm's Deep, which took weeks and weeks and weeks and a lot of detail. But I'm all down for that. What an interesting rumor, though, to leak and say you guys are going to get blown away by this particular sequence. I'm all down for that. It's very exciting news.
Do you think this 40-minute Siege of Edoras will be in the first half of the movie or the second half of the movie?
Oh, this sounds like the third act. This actually sounds like it would be really, really cool thing to have in the third act. But I don't know. That's a pretty wild guess on my part. But what do you think? What are your instincts telling you?
My instincts tell me that why does King Theoden command his people to leave Edoras to Helm's Deep as quickly as he does in the Two Towers? There's a history there that he does not want to replicate. And I think...
yeah, that's also true. Okay, yeah, now you're thinking along those lines, yes. But also, certainly, the size of the forces of Isengard was significantly more threatening to their vulnerable location in Meduseld than, say, this type of a smaller faction coming from Dunland. So I have half a mind to say that that decision was also quickly made by expediency and the absolute threat of Saruman's forces going to overwhelm them in Rohan.
So do you think that this 40-minute Siege of Edoras leads the Helm and his people to take over the Deep, and the final battle ends up at Helm's Deep? Or do you think if this is reverse, the Helm's Deep battle occurs first, and the movie ends with this Siege of Edoras?
No, I don't think that happens. I think it happens the first way you described it. And certainly the parallels, the historical parallels, should be, looked at. That, as you already pointed out, Theoden needed to make haste because not in the books, it didn't happen this way in the books, but in Peter Jackson's film, Aragorn has the advantage of seeing, how bad the forces are, as they've already, actually, this is already after they've made the decision to evacuate Meduseld. That's the way Peter Jackson presents it. So,
Cliff?
the news that Gandalf brought did not come soon enough. Let's just say that last minute warning system of Gandalf the White was the most important life-saving moment for many, many, many citizens of Rohan.
I just hope it's not a 40-minute typical anime battle where it's just one character talking about how he will destroy you, and then the other character going, well, no, I will destroy you in many different ways.
Dude,
and then
that's Dragon Ball Z. That's how they do that on Dragon Ball Z. That's not how they do it in feature films, and that's certainly not the way Tolkien does it. No, that's a certain...
Helm Hammerhand just stands there yelling at people? Well, I will destroy you with my single hand.
Do you know, they're trying to stretch out the story. They're trying to stretch out very complicated battle sequences that production company a long time to animate those episodes, and they spread them out with talk Dragon Ball Z episodes where they threaten one another for about 15 or 20 minutes, acting all bravado, and then they go into the fight sequence. That is part of the conservancy of the Japanese house style that they've developed on TV series where they needed to spend their money in just the right places. And I mean just the right places. So that kind of house style for, sublimating a television series that's not the kind of thing you're going to need for a feature film where they have the luxury of going straight into the sequences that they want and getting right to the story. It's just, come on,
Okay,
you're funny.
so you don't
You're so funny. You're so
expect
funny.
this anime movie to be like Dragon
No.
Ball. All right, very good.
No, not at all. Not
Moving
at all.
on,
Come on.
Cliff. Cliff, we still got it. Look at this. One of those big, fat, popular, annoying, content stealing Twitter pop culture accounts have picked up on Green Dragon Scoop, our own scoop, Green Dragon here at the OneRing.net, and here it is. Culture Crave says Christopher Lee returns as Saruman, and of course they don't tag the OneRing.net, they just link to our YouTube video. But they're not the only ones who picked up on the news. Gizmodo gives us a shout out. War of the Rohirrim used Christopher Lee's archives to bring him back as Saruman. Here in the article they say we've known for a while that Saruman White would appear in War of the Rohirrim, but New York Comic Con producer Philippa Boyens confirmed that the late Christopher Lee will be actually voicing the character. Boyens told the OneRing.net, who also /film picked up. Cliff, we're all over the news. The OneRing.net is all over the news. We're breaking news.
Yep, doing it like we've always done it, just like we've done it for 25 years. That's really funny. We're going to end up breaking that record, like a broken record, and keep saying that over and over again. But when you are the grandfather clock in the house, and when you chime, everybody in the house hears you chime. That is our job at the OneRing.net, to be the big grandfather clock in the room, and actually in the whole house. You can hear us upstairs. You can hear us out in the garage. You can hear the clock. Whenever we're making big news like that, everybody picks up on it. Now, I took issue with Discussing Film. Their account on Twitter actually credited YouTube, and it said, parenthesis, source, YouTube. And I'm like, no, the source is not YouTube. The source is the OneRing.net. So I took to a little complaining. I was like, Lucy, splain. I had a little bit of, look, Discussing Film, you got to give us proper accreditation, because it was Green Dragon, our very own volunteer, Kirsten, who got that scoop. So it is appreciated that the other media outlets give us accreditation. I mean, it should be happening that way.
On the red carpet at the convention.
Right.
Cliff, do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember the big scoop that you got at Comic-Con San Diego?
Oh, do I?
Hobby years?
Do I ever? At that point in time, nobody thought it would be more than 2 movies. And the reason why, the previous production schedule, which was created by Guillermo del Toro when he was going to be the director of The Hobbit, not Peter Jackson, it was originally a 2-film setup. But we were on the red carpet talking to Superman. I was talking to Henry Cavill. I was talking to Richard Armitage. Everyone's having a great time. We're on the red carpet having these really very friendly
and then Peter
and
Jackson
warm
comes by
interviews.
and just blurts out to Cliff that we're going to do 3 movies. And you started calling other staff members, and other staff members are like, we don't believe you. We don't believe you. And we're like, we have it on camera.
We have it. Peter Jackson was actually talking to the reporter on my left, and I came sneaking over here with my microphone because I was not going to miss that scoop. We were right there, even though he was talking to the journalist on my left.
We got it on camera, and no one wanted to believe it. It was amazing. So we're still scooping things. 25 years later, we're still scooping things. Speaking of scoops, Green Dragon gossip, Cliff. I want
Here we
your
go.
I want your opinion on this. All right, so we firmly established for real, Christopher Lee's voice is going to
Yes.
be Saruman, and in the interview, which you can watch on the One Rings YouTube channel, Philippa Boyens says they listened to outtakes from the recordings of the Hobbit movie and the Lord of the Rings movies, and not just the outtakes, but the friendly dialogue that he has from the vocal room, from the vocal booth with the producers. Everything that is
outtakes.
recorded is available to use. So here we go. This is the map that we
Yes.
gave out at our panel at San Diego Comic-Con. And everybody in attendance got a poster of this map. And it was fantastic. It was the first time we'd ever seen it. They hadn't posted it online yet. This map of Rohan, it was just a wonderful gift from our friends at Warner Brothers to our Comic-Con audience.
Very nice indeed.
This last week, Cliff, someone pointed this out from this map.
Fangorn Forest. Close in on that. What are we looking at?
Look,
I'm going to zoom in on that.
It's circled.
Oh, they're Ents. They're Ents. I can see in the trees, you've circled a couple of the Ents that are walking through Fangorn Forest. Wow. How cool
Cliff,
is that?
Would Warner Brothers be putting Ents in the poster for the movie with the movie logo on it if
I wonder.
there aren't any Ents? Because that would be false advertising.
No, I think the Ents might or might not show up. They're not particularly relevant to this story. But why wouldn't they show up? If we're going to have Muma kill, and if we're going to have the Watcher in the water outside of the West Gate of Moria, if we're going to have all these other interesting creatures show up, then why not? Why the hell not? I think that's cool. I love it when they do these little tiny details, and you're like, oh, where's Waldo? And you look closer, and you're like, oh, there it is.
We've posted the links to
I had not
both
seen
the
that before.
full map and this close-up in our Discord. You have to go to our Discord, find the War of the Rohirrim chat room, and just scroll up, and you can find the images as high res as I could find it. But Cliff, here's the Green Dragon gossip, Cliff, and I want your opinion if you think this might be true. Green Dragon gossip. We've firmly established that they're using outtakes from Saruman's recording during the movies.
Yes.
We've now established in this official poster, in this official map, that there could be Ents in Fangorn Forest. The new Green Dragon gossip is Saruman plays a bigger role than just showing up at the wedding. Saruman has key dialogue scenes with Ents in Fangorn.
Really?
And
Oh,
they
cool.
use outtakes from the filming of Return of the King and Two Towers. They use outtakes from Saruman's dialogue with Treebeard after the Battle of Isengard that never made it into the movie.
Oh, they did record that stuff. That's interesting. There is nothing in regular or extended edition of The Two Towers, and certainly not in that beautiful extended edition of The Return of the King, where we see what happens after the flooding of Isengard. There is no dialogue that has ever been presented as between that character and that character. They don't talk to each other at all.
What do you think could possibly be filmed? Do you think there's actual dialogue of Treebeard and Saruman talking about being old friends and the betrayal and I thought we were friends and
Yeah. Gosh, that would be great. I've always wondered what the anger after the Treebeard angry roar that becomes such an iconic moment in The Two Towers, and suddenly the Ents go to war, and there's this incredible sequence of the rage, the unfettered rage of the Ents destroying the Circle of Isengard and going to attack the Tower of Orthanc and breaking the dam, release the river, and all that supreme anger. I wondered what the follow-up dialogue would have been like. And for years I've wondered this. What would that conversation be like between Treebeard and a captured? I mean, he's imprisoned in the Tower of Orthanc. Everything's flooded. He can't escape. And he's in there with Grima Wormtongue. And I really have always wondered, if they had written that dialogue, what would those sour grapes sound like? How pissed off Treebeard would have been, and the accusations that Saruman would have to stand against, talking to one of the oldest beings in all of Middle-earth. I mean, wow. I'm totally down for that. Totally down.
Do you think that the dialogue works for this period in time? If Saruman is to meet up with Treebeard 200 years before Lord of the Rings in this movie, would any of that dialogue be appropriate?
Who knows? I don't know what the dialogue is. Who knows? But I am intrigued by the concept of them working with original takes that they took in the studio with Sir Christopher. I'm very intrigued by this. I wonder what it's going to be like. But what about, I mean, look, it might help to lay the bedrock of their relationship earlier, centuries earlier, so that it even seems like more of a betrayal on Saruman's part when we get to the Two Towers. I think it's great.
Also, I'm thinking the dialogue that they could use doesn't have to be between Treebeard and Saruman. What if there's extended dialogue scenes when Gandalf first arrives to Orthanc at the beginning of Fellowship or halfway through Fellowship? You know, when Gandalf says, I will go see the wisest of my order. Do you think that there might be extended dialogue scenes where Saruman, Christopher Lee, is talking about friendship and trees and things like that could make sense?
Well, all this stuff, maybe. What is particularly different between the book version and Peter Jackson's version is that Saruman, when he's being interviewed by Gandalf at that moment, and from Frodo's point of view, Gandalf is gone for 17 years, literally. Peter Jackson never gives us like a title card that says 17 years later, Gandalf shows up in the bushes outside of Bag End. He never even tells us that. The audience does not know. But within that time frame, and he's gone back to the Tower of Orthanc, and Saruman has actually confessed to Gandalf that he is no longer Gandalf the White, but he is Gandalf of many colors.
Saruman
and he throws away his outer robe, and Ralph Bakshi gives a particularly visual and psychedelic look at Saruman saying, I am Saruman of many colors. And he takes off the old gray mantle, and underneath is psychedelic, multicolored colors coming out of his robes. And Peter Jackson never bothers with that. Doesn't mean they didn't record it. It doesn't mean that they didn't actually write scenes or scenic dialogue that is directly connected to what we know in the books. So, I wonder if any of that stuff survives. I wonder.
It does. Yeah. So I'm excited to see. There is so much available, Cliff. You've talked about for years about the unicorn
Did I say
cut.
Saruman? I did say Saruman of many colors. Did I say that wrong?
You said it wrong once, but whatever. For years you've been talking about the unicorn cut because there is so much footage. You've talked to people on the inside. There is so much footage that they shot that got cut, like full-on scenes.
Yeah, full-on scenes. Full-on scenes with Arwen showing up at Helm's Deep. Full-on battle scenes, all cut. All this other stuff, now we got a big clue because of Green Dragon's wonderful interview with Philippa. And Philippa says, guess what? We've got extra takes. We have extra studio voice recordings by Sir Christopher. We're going to be able to access them. And that also drives that rumor further that there's a lot more stuff that was created for the original trilogy that we've never seen.
Do you like the idea? Let's take this to the next step. Do you
Yes.
like the idea, rather than getting a 25th anniversary unicorn cut that is like 20 hours long, of them finding ways to use that excised footage in all of these new adaptations in new ways?
No, I want the unicorn edition to include buckets and buckets of deleted scenes.
No, I want
everybody. Come on.
No,
you know
I
that.
want them.
That's
I want them
that's
to
kind of a
find
silly
a way.
question.
I want them to find a way to reuse that old footage in new ways in new movies.
Sure,
like that's
fine too. But that does not eliminate the ultimate pressing need. No, it is a necessity. It's not just a fan wish. It's not just a dream, a pipe dream. This is a necessity that they release that special 25th anniversary edition that includes all the jokes and the outtakes and the bloopers and the real takes that they wanted to use but didn't. I want all that stuff, and I want it now. Well, I'm going to start singing Veruca Salt, from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I want the world. I want the whole world.
Unfortunately, I don't think you're getting
I want it all.
Unfortunately, Cliff, I'm going to break bad news to you. Breaking bad news. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is coming to a brand new box set, and there is no 25th anniversary re-edit happening. We are getting new box sets.
That is nothing but repackaging. That's just a repackaging of something we've already got in 4K.
This includes a ring. Look at that.
Okay,
this
great.
includes a ring.
But no new content. At all.
Let's take a look.
Hey, the Wonder of Tolkien is here in our live chat. Hello. And yes, I agree.
Films includes a replica of the One Ring from the Noble Collection.
Should we call it the Mithril cut? Yes, we should call it the Mithril cut. I like
better
that.
Than the unicorn cut. Mithril. I thought Mithril's kind of a bad word, kind of like midi-chlorians now.
No, there are no unicorns in Middle Earth. Never have been. So we might as well call it the word which represents probably the most valuable substance in Middle Earth, the mithril.
All right.
Let's call it the mithril cut.
Before we move on, I wanted to bring this up, Cliff. We had on our program here, we gave you an exclusive 1 hour long, fascinating interview with the director of the brand new Christopher Lee documentary, The Life and Many Deaths of Christopher Lee. It was one of my favorite conversations of the year. Well, this just came out because they showed it on TV in the UK. Christopher Lee, it is confirmed in the documentary. Christopher Lee rewatched Lord of the Rings the night he died.
That is amazing. When the internet blew up with this story a couple of days ago, it was the most delightful and really cool news. Really, really cool to know that.
But why? Why? Explain.
Because look, out of his wonderful, wonderful multi-storied career, he's lying there in hospice, or actually in care with the primary care doctors, and the telly comes on. It's random. The telly is on, and there it is, a rebroadcast of one of the 3 Lord of the Rings movies. It has still not been disclosed which. And he immediately perks up and says, well, let me talk to the nurses and tell them all of my crazy filming stories about what it was like filming The Lord of the Rings. And the man is hours away from death. And suddenly, there it is, a cosmic accident. The nurse turns on the telly, and there it is, and he wants to talk about it, and he's invigorated and wants to tell the nurses stories about his life and his very charming and amazing experiences on the production. And I think it's so beautiful. What a beautiful way to send off and go to the gray havens and to the wonderful undying lands beyond. What a great way to go with something that you're so proud of. And he was obviously, maybe his reaction would have been different if it had been one of the old Hammer horror films from the Hammer studio. And maybe he just would have been talking about, some of his other co-workers but just that very special moment happened. And I think it was cosmic in a way. Really kind of cosmic.
It was cosmic. I mean, you hear stories about people having awakenings, just before they pass on,
Yeah.
or moments of
Clarity,
excitement, clarity.
lucidity. Yeah, moments of lucidity and re-energizing. Yeah, this does happen. Yeah. Well, I I regret having never met him and never having the chance to interview him while I did many, many interviews with people involved in both Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogies. It would be, and still is, my greatest regret that I didn't get to interview him. Now we look at the filmmaker that we interviewed just a couple of months ago, who did this really wonderful documentary. I am so excited to see the release of this doc. Really into this. Can't wait to see it. And you're
Very
right,
much.
Justin. It was a great conversation.
Um, and for folks new to the fandom, coming in from Rings of Power and newer adaptations, they probably don't know the whole story. Cliff,
Mm,
Christopher Lee isn't just an actor who played the White Wizard. He was a
right.
legit fan who even met Tolkien, right?
He did. He was a soldier. He was a spy.
All right,
He
folks.
was
Next up, we got a wonderful.
Oh, that was that you? I thought I heard your voice, Justin. He was in His Majesty's Secret Service, probably very much like a
But
James
but
Bond
he
type
met
of character.
Tolkien. Yeah, we're not talking about
And
James Bond. He met
yeah,
Tolkien.
but I mean, add it to the list of amazing accomplishments. Among his hundreds and hundreds of movie screen credits, while he was alive, while Tolkien was alive, Christopher did have the chance to meet with him, and he loves talking about it. He might be, from my understanding, the only actor in the entire cast of the Rings trilogy who met John Ronald while the professor was still alive.
The wonder of Tolkien. That's why we're correcting the record. He met John Ronald Reuel Tolkien.
He did. He did.
He is
Yeah,
that
how
much
about
of a
that?
legend. Yeah, Christopher Lee read the books every year. He corrected Peter Jackson on set many times. Not just about what a man sounds like when they get stabbed, but also about
Can I read this
the
to
lore.
you? Here, this is it. He met him while visiting the professor's favorite pub, the Eagle and Child, known by the locals as the Bird and Baby. It happened during the 1950s. I will read this quote to you from Sir Christopher Lee. Quote, "We were sitting there, talking and drinking beer, and someone said, 'Oh, look who walked in.' It was Professor Tolkien, and I nearly fell off my chair. I didn't even know he was alive. He was a benign-looking man, smoking a pipe, walking in, an English countryman with earth under his feet. And he was a genius, a man of incredible intellectual knowledge. He knew somebody in our group. He, the man in the group, said, 'Oh, Professor, Professor.' And he came over. And each one of us, well, I knelt, of course, but each one of us said, 'How do you do?' And I just said, 'How, how, how?'" Unquote. So that's the story from Christopher Lee. How wonderful is that?
It's just absolutely wonderful.
It is wonderful. Yeah.
This is just one of the many feel-good stories in this amazing documentary. I've linked to it in the chat.
Oh, good. Yes.
So
Can't
I've
wait to see
linked
it.
to it into the chat. So please, folks, go rewatch our chat from earlier this year with the director of the Christopher Lee documentary, where all of this stuff. It's a wonderful documentary that
That would be
has
John.
an interesting,
John Spira. His name was John Spira, the man
that's
we
right.
interviewed.
And,
Yes.
and he has a very unique, creative way of telling the life story of Christopher Lee, with full
Very.
blessing from the family. And by the way, through this process, through this news process, we've learned that Christopher Lee's widow passed earlier this year in June. So she is met
Yes.
back with him. And
Sadly, She has passed. Yes.
We were talking through this process. I was curious, did Christopher Lee pass away before his best friend Peter Cushing was brought back digitally in Star Wars Rogue One? And the answer is yes. Christopher Lee never actually got to see the re-aliving of
Nope.
Peter
he
Cushing.
died in 2015.
And
He died in
I
2015.
think Rogue One was in 2017?
2016, 1 year later.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he missed it by 1 year.
He missed it by 1 year.
Yeah.
The
Afraid
the estate of Peter Cushing approved and encouraged that use of Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One.
Yes.
The jury is out yet. Now that the estate is fully in the hands of Christopher Lee's family. His wife now died in June. So will Christopher Lee's estate and family approve of reusing his image, likeness, and voice for these new movies? We don't know yet. But
well, that's an interesting question. That is an interesting question. Yes.
Do you think fans are ready for it?
Yes. I think fans are ready for anything at this point. We've already been, I guess you could say the training wheels have to come off. And when we saw that recreation of Princess Leia at the end of Rogue One, and we saw that recreation of
that's a poor
Grand
example.
Moff Tarkin.
Peter Cushing.
Grand
Moff
Cushing,
Tarkin is probably a
those
better
you
example.
could consider that was us having the training wheels on the bicycle, and now it's time for us to ride the bicycle on our own with what will inevitably be lots of recreations of actors and actresses who have passed away. And I take my hat off for Terry Garr. Bless you, Terry Garr. May you rest in peace. You were one of the best and the funniest women in all the history of comedy, and one of the greatest talents that Mel Brooks ever worked with. But don't be surprised that, the power of these intellectual properties, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, being particularly crazy big, IPs, it's not surprising to me, Justin, that we're going to have a machine-generated learning and machine learning stuff and AI to help recreate what is lost. We can also look at the way Peter Jackson worked with Apple Music, and I mean the Beatles recording company, to recreate John Lennon's voice using machine learning for that wonderful final Beatles song, Now and Then. Remember Now and Then? And everybody's singing it, and like, oh my gosh, that's how they cleared up this old demo tape of John Lennon's voice. So this is the kind of thing we better get used to, really.
We just better prepare. All right, moving on. Cliff,
Yeah.
you found the biggest scoop of the week. It's in the headline of the show. It's taking 45 minutes. Here it is. The big scoop of the week. Tell us what's going on.
There's this little company. What are they called? IOTA, right? I've never heard of them before, but it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery has made a marketing deal to have early, I mean really, really early. We're talking the first week of November. We are having very early screenings available of The War of the Rohirrim way before the Christmas time frame. And look, one friend of mine who had been a lovely guest at our Bilbo Baggins birthday picnic, she sent me this on Instagram and said, sign up. You can get in the queue. And I don't know if I will even get approved, but Justin, you and I have our names on the wait list to actually see The War of the Rohirrim through this early fan screening. Now, not to be confused, it is not the official big opening night premiere. It is not even close to a tightly secure invitation-only screening for the people at the studio. It's not a studio-only premiere. It's not the actual marketing red carpet premiere with all the splashy, party and the arrivals on the carpet. This is a little secret. Hello, you're going to a little theater in North Hollywood. Bam, get on the waiting list.
Well,
come and see The War of the Rohirrim. It's so early in the program, though. I mean, wow, it's so early to have this. So I'm really excited about the possibilities, and if we're lucky, we'll get on the queue on the list.
Well, and you can too. I've put the link in the description of the video. So
Yes.
please, folks,
Very
sign
good.
up. Here's my Green Dragon gossip on this. Man, my phone's blowing up. The Green Dragon gossip is this is not the only screening. It says Saturday, November 9th. That's a full 5 weeks before the December 13th global opening.
Now, isn't that huge? Why is it I don't remember these types of things happening with the Hobbit trilogy like
they
11 or 12
absolutely
years
happen.
ago?
Oh yeah, there were screenings
Well,
like
I don't
3
remember them
weeks before.
happening.
We sent fans
Wow.
around the country to early screenings of the Hobbit
Well-
movies, and they've been doing this with Venom 3 lately, and a bunch of
Yeah?
movies this year have also been getting early screenings. So this is normal, par for the course. This isn't anything unique or special for War of the Rohirrim. But I will say this: this is not going to be the only screening. I highly recommend signing up at the link in the description. You never know if this company or other companies are going to be doing other screenings. My Green Dragon gossip sources say that there will be many screenings, early screenings of the Roar of the Rohirrim for 2 reasons. One,
Not just in California. Everyone in the chat is saying, I wish I lived in California. But I
Not
get a
just-
feeling this
yeah.
is going to happen in major markets all across the country.
Houston,
right?
Denver, New York, Chicago.
Okay.
The Green Dragon gossip is there's the 2 reasons that they're going to be doing a lot of screenings. Number 1, they're really proud of the quality of the film. It is
That is your biggest indicator that they're really proud of it. They want to get fan buzz out there early. You're right. That's a big sign of confidence in the studio that they're doing this. It's a big
And
sign.
so these theaters, they're going to be
Yes.
booking small theaters. We're talking theaters with like 30 or 50 seats. I mean, these aren't going to be big screenings, big fan screenings. These are meant to get the word out. These are meant to get the word out from people who they think will really enjoy the film and do word of mouth. Second reason is I believe that Warner Brothers really wants this to get nominated for Oscars this year, including Best Soundtrack, Best Animated Film, Best Original Song, Paris Paloma, and best like all the best that they could do. They want Oscar nominations for this. It's a great year to do it. There haven't been many films this year. The field is light this year for many reasons. So they have to do screenings before December 2nd to qualify for Oscars. They have to
Understood.
do screenings. So that's the other reason to do all these screenings. They're going to do screenings with the DGA and the WGA and all the unions, SAG. They're going to do influencer screenings. They're going to do fan screenings like this is. They're going to do test audience screenings to figure out what people are responding to. They're going to do a lot of screenings. This is what I'm hearing. Green Dragon Gossip. A lot of screenings between now and December 13th. Anytime you hear about something like this, we're going to try to let you know. You want to be in our Discord because we're going to share the links in our Discord. We don't want every crazy person under the sun on Twitter and Facebook, signing up from around the world. So you want to be in our Discord when we find these links, because I believe, Green Dragon Gossip, I believe this is just the first of many screenings to both qualify for Oscar contention this year, which would put it in... if this is nominated for Best Animated Film, it goes up against possibly The Wild Robot, Inside Out 2,
and Flow, which has yet to be released. The movie is called Flow. It has yet to be released, and that will also be a contender
and
for Best
Moana
Animated
2.
Film. Maybe.
But those there aren't a lot of animated films this year. That's what I'm saying. So War of the Rohirrim, with a 40-minute epic battle scene, as we talked about, there aren't a lot of films. So
it was just a few weeks ago that the top five out of the top 10 movies in the American box office were all animated features, including
and most
the
of those
re-release.
were re-releases of it, so they weren't even new releases.
No,
so
one.
don't
there was
count.
the re-release of
those
Nightmare
don't
Before
count.
Christmas.
They don't get qualified. Yeah, that doesn't qualify for Oscar nomination this year. That's what
but
I'm saying.
I would.
Oscar nominations
get
are
that.
a light field. Your
well,
argument is invalid.
Thanks. I haven't even made the argument yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Um, the point that I was literally more interested as a supplemental idea is that Warner Brothers is also sharply aware of how much money has been made in the box office with these hit animated films this year. The re-release of Coraline and the re-release of another Henry Selick stop motion animated masterpiece, that re-release of Nightmare Before Christmas, at the same time that Inside Out 2 was still in theaters, and there was also I think it was it My Hero Academia? It was also another Japanese anime feature film,
Oh,
and they were like
Transformers 1
5 out of
was
the top
a
10
good new
in the
new
box
release.
office.
I hope Transformers 1 gets a nomination. It really deserves
Oh,
it.
that's right.
Was a good
Transformers
movie.
1 was talked about as a good film,
Anyway, we're
but I
here to
haven't
talk
seen it
about
yet.
new movies. We're not here to talk about re-releases of old movies.
Well,
Speaking of new movies,
let me ask you, Justin, just let's settle this point together. Don't you really agree that this is the perfect time to release an anime version of Lord of the Rings, especially with the proof being baked into the pudding that the audience is willing to spend money and go to the theatrical experience in the movie theaters for animation? And that's been proven time and time and time again all year long. Don't you
oh,
think? I
you know
mean,
what?
it's a
I think
perfect
this is a perfect
time,
segue to give you your
really.
Miyazaki minute. We're putting 60 seconds on the clock, and here you go.
Well, you just had it. That was that what you just had. You had the 60-second Miyazaki minute. There is, there's nothing else to say. I'm just asking that, um, there are times when they release movies and it's just wrong. There are some times when a movie comes out and it doesn't hit, it's not the right time. The audience is like, "What are you doing? We didn't ask for this." Now it seems that there's a synergy, a more specific synergy, and it happens to combine with the weird, kind of mercurial American appetite for going to the movies, and now it's combined with animation. No one thought that Elemental would have legs, and boy, did it have legs, even though it had a rather quiet, middle of the road opening. But Inside Out 2 and the success of these other animated films this year is so wild, so off the cuff. Not to mention earlier this spring when Miyazaki himself won the Oscar for The Boy and the Heron. It's wild. So there's your Miyazaki minute. I think the American box office has never been more ready for the War of the Rohirrim than it is right now. It's a very exciting time.
Perfect. All right, moving on, Cliff.
There you go.
There was some other
Oh,
big stuff happening.
my
today.
boy Ralph had a birthday. No way. Yes. Yes, our wonderful veteran animator of what you'd call the most groundbreaking era in adult animation, way before Cartoon Network would dream up of something called Adult Swim. There was Ralph Bakshi, and he was the very first filmmaker, not you, John Borman. You had your chance, but that didn't work out. It went from United Artists giving the job to Ralph Bakshi, who released in 1978 that 2 hours and 20-minute long, massively psychedelic, rotoscoped animation of The Lord of the Rings. And that is why we say happy birthday, tip of the hat to you, a very big congratulations. How old is he now? Is he in his early 80s now? I don't know. I'd have to look.
He's got to be, but he's just as active as ever
Yeah.
because Magic the Gathering recently released, or last year re-released.
Yes, they did.
Ralph Bakshi cards for Magic the Gathering. This is with their Lord of the Rings license. So Ralph Bakshi still in the marketplace with
Yes.
artwork, Magic the Gathering cards based on the artwork from his animated movie.
Yep.
So happy birthday.
And
happy
birthday.
to Ralph Bakshi.
Wait,
Cliff,
isn't it funny that Jed Brophy also has the same birthday as Ralph Bakshi? It's so funny to me. Double happy birthdays to actually two of my favorite people in the entire history of film adaptations of Lord of the Rings. Happy birthday, Jed, who is a constant companion to us, theonering.net, whenever we're at a big convention, here we are, San Diego Comic-Con, it's time for Jed to come back and have a brilliant time because he's so awesome with the fans and his storytelling, his skills at crafting a beautiful story about what happened to him during the production. He is just the life of the party, and I want to miss him. I mean, I really do want to wish him the very best wishes on his birthday
And he's
as well.
the only actor to be in every single film adaptation: Rings of Power, The Hobbit, and Lord
Yep.
of the Rings.
Yep, and Heavenly Creatures, but that's another story. That's another film.
I don't think
Yeah.
his time in Middle Earth is done just yet.
Not at all. No, Jed Brophy's probably going to be in The Hunt for Gollum, and everything's going to be so awesome. I'm so excited about that.
The
double
the
birthdays.
fun thing I learned at Comic-Con this year is Jed Brophy choreographed the iconic dance of that little horror movie Robot Girl.
Oh gosh, yeah. You mean Megan?
Megan.
The Megan AI horror robot girl?
Yeah, Jed Brophy choreographed the
That was such a
Megan
fun movie.
robot dance that became a hit across TikTok and everything. So,
Yeah.
what could he be in Hunt for Gollum? What do you think,
Anything.
Cliff?
Oh, you name it. There could be any number of characters he could play. Maybe he could just be, someone who is,
You know what? Let
look.
me reframe it.
Oh.
Let me reframe this. Okay.
Okay, reframe the question. It could be anybody. It could be anybody.
It has been established
Yeah.
from Philippa Boyens that the Hunt for Gollum takes place after Bilbo's birthday party. That's the time frame we're looking at. Not young Aragorn lost in the north, right?
Right.
We are talking about the Hunt for Gollum takes place after Bilbo's birthday party at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring. So let me
Right.
ask you this, Cliff.
Okay.
Out of all of these orc characters that he was in Two Towers, which one do you want him to reprise? And we get a little bit more backstory fleshed out of one of his iconic characters. Which one do you want to see more of as in prequel fashion in The Hunt for Gollum?
I don't know. Isn't Jed the guy who says, isn't he the guy in the Two Towers who has that funny nasally voice and says,
He took a tumble off the cliff.
yeah, that is him. That is him. But isn't he one of the other orcs who meets with the Uruk-hai when Merry and Pippin are captive and they're talking about eating their legs? And he's like, yeah, what about them? You know? That wasn't him. Was that?
Yeah,
They're
that's him.
fresh.
Yeah.
Is that him? That's the guy who says, they're fresh. That's him. I'm pretty sure that character.
You want that guy? You want
That
that
would
guy?
be the most hilarious character for Jed to come back and do. That would be hilarious. It really, really would be funny.
You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually agree with you. I think there's something fun about having a more fleshed out what is his name? Gluruk or Ishnok or something like that? I don't know. Fans.
Grishnach? Is it Grishnach? Maybe.
I
I'm gonna look
like
him
this
up on
idea.
IMDb.
I like this idea of Grishnach having a more fleshed out role in a prequel to the Two Towers.
That is too funny.
Anyway, happy birthday, Jed.
Happy birthday, Jed Brophy.
Give him a follow on Instagram, Jedi Brophy. He'd love to. Snagga. Snagga was the other one. Grishnach.
Snagga, yeah. Or Snaga. Snagga or Snaga. Actually, when you're looking at his credit in Lord of the Rings Return of the King, it just says featured orc. In the Two Towers, he had two names, two different orcs. One was Sharku, Sharku, and the other one was Snaga. Now, in general, Snaga was just a term, like a general term that Tolkien used. That he had it's a it's a contemptuous term for the lesser orcs of Mordor and Isengard, because the larger Uruk-hai would speak about the smaller orcs as if they were, little, have contempt for
Oh,
them, and they were like
you know what
beneath
I'm
them.
curious
Yeah.
about? If you look at the bottom right of the photo, yes, Jed Brophy played one of the Nazgul on horseback. And Cliff, I wanted to ask you this.
Yes, that's true.
I don't think I've ever
Yes.
asked you this. One of the most thrilling things in the cinema in my lifetime, I'll never forget it, is the two towers in the Dead Marshes. When we hear the scream of the Nazgul, and Gollum says
Yeah.
they're here, and they go hide under a bush, and the
Yeah.
camera, and then the scream, and they're hiding from a Nazgul. And this whole time, I've only seen Nazgul on horseback. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
So, in Peter Jackson's movie, The Dead Marshes, they start on a close-up of the Nazgul hand holding, a
Horse's
thing,
reins.
a
what,
rein.
what you'd think
but
is
then-
a bridle and reins for a horse. What you think?
And then they do this incredible reveal as the camera pans out, and you
Yeah.
find out that he's on a flying black dragon, Drake, and I'm freaking out in theaters. I've never seen anything like this. Two Towers. That's why one of the reasons Two Towers is my favorite of all the movies, because that was one of the most impactful movie moments of my lifetime. Is that reveal of the Nazgul can fly now. And for the rest of the trilogy, we never see a Nazgul on horseback.
That's right. You never see them on horseback again.
So the question for you is, in
well-
the hunt for Gollum,
Yeah.
are the Nazgul flying, or are the Nazgul only on horseback?
Great question. Really excellent question, and it could go either way. Our assumption, generally, is that the fell beasts would only be,
I didn't know what a fell beast was. Listen, I'm just going in as a movie fan, and I'm freaking out in the
Right.
theater at the Vista Theater with Andy Serkis in the room, and I see a freaking black dragon being ridden by a Nazgul. I'm flipping out in the seat. I'm like shaking. I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. And I said that as I'm watching the movie. That's how crazy that scene was. But we
No,
never
there is-
ever
there is-
see a dark horse after that.
Asked about the nature of the steed of the Witch King, Professor Tolkien replied that the fell beast was not intended to be pterodactylic, or of the manner of a pterodactyl, but he hesitantly acknowledged that it resembles a pterosaur and may have been a survivor of older geological eras. But no, these, also called hellhawks, these awful creatures did not appear until after the Nazgul were hit at the ford of Bruinen and they were unhorsed from their horses. Okay, so they did not appear in earlier ages.
Oh, so
Just gotta put that out
Arwen
there.
gets rid of the horses completely. Like they don't
Yep.
even survive.
And the spell cast upon the river, yes, the horses do not survive. That is true. And the Nazgul almost, but it takes a lot more than just a water flood to, get them.
I hadn't clocked
out.
that until right now when you guys in the chat room are explaining this. The reason the Nazgul never get on a horse again is because they were defeated by a river.
Now, in folklore, in many ancient folk tales and structures of mythology, a supernatural spirit, or even one of the Fae, a creature from the world of Faerie, or a ghost or a spirit, anything that's supernatural, is often blocked by a body of moving water, and they cannot cross rivers or streams. That is why, when you're watching Fellowship of the Ring, there's this hesitancy when they are galloping up to the edge of the hobbits who are on the little raft, going out to Buckleberry Ferry, and they're trying to get across the river in the Shire, and the Nazgul cannot cross. They get up to the pier, and at that point, Sam, Frodo, Merry, and Pippin have already gotten off the shore, and they're safely in the water. The water, just the body of the river itself, and it's a repeated pattern that the Bruinen, when they come up and meet Arwen later in the film, is supposed to be enough to prevent their passage. In the film, they go up to the bridge, the main bridge, to get across the main road, while the hobbits take that shortcut of taking the Buckleberry Ferry. The thing is, there's a look on Arwen's face, and you'll remember it, Justin. There's a look of surprise that the horses of the Nazgul actually enter, crossing the ford of Bruinen, where she has already got Frodo safely on the opposite banks. And then it becomes a problem of, oh gosh, what are we going to do? The power of the river is not enough to stop these supernatural creatures. So there's the added protective spells that Elrond and Gandalf provided to the water. And in the book, as we all know, it was not Arwen, it was Glorfindel that was there saving Frodo at that moment when he crossed the ford.
Why does the movies get a pass with completely changing that character? And Rings of Power
even Ralph
criticized.
Bakshi's movie changed the character. There is no Glorfindel ever. And that's why some of us are still scratching our heads wondering, will they bring Glorfindel into a future season of The Rings of Power on Prime Video? Because that is just as equally likely as anything else.
It's a race right now between the Warner Brothers Peter Jackson films and McPain's Rings of Power to see who gets to bring Glorfindel to the screen first?
Yeah, essentially. Yes, it is a race.
Do you want Glorfindel in The Hunt for Gollum?
Yes, absolutely. I want Glorfindel in everything all the time. I even want, Gon Gon and Prince Imrahil in The Return of the King.
Let's stay on Glorfindel. Here's what
I want Glorfindel. Yes.
Here's an idea for Glorfindel. This movie, set after Bilbo's birthday, could set up a scene where Glorfindel tells Arwen, Aragorn's going to be in trouble. You have to go to him now.
Yeah.
And that would explain why Arwen shows up to rescue Frodo.
What if we discover more about the friendship between Strider, not yet identified as Aragorn, but if Strider is still being a Dunedain of the North, and he's just a ranger, not yet caught off his guard, imagine us learning about the friendship between Strider and Glorfindel. I love that idea.
I have no idea who or what a Glorfindel is. I don't even know the sex or gender of Glorfindel. So, Cliff, one name. Give me one name of one actor or actress that is your dream casting for Glorfindel. Only one. Set my mind on a path with this casting.
Really? Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me look up his name. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Here it is. I say that we should look up for Glorfindel. I don't know if you guys, but I think Taron Egerton has always been one of my first choices. Yeah, Taron Egerton has always been one of my first choices for Glorfindel. That's just me. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but yeah.
What?
Why not?
Taron Egerton?
Yeah, Taron Egerton as Glorfindel. That would be great. I'd be. I don't know.
From the freaking Elton John movie?
Yeah, and also he was the lead voice of Rian in The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, and he's been in The Kingsman, in all those fun, wacky Kingsman movies.
Okay.
And he's been in a lot of other stuff. But why not? I don't think
I have no
I don't think he's off base at all.
It's
a great casting idea that I've always enjoyed.
Okay, all right.
Taron Egerton would be Glorfindel.
I I had no idea that a character of this stature, of this weight, of 25 years of me hearing about they screwed Glorfindel in every adaptation. I had no idea this is where your head was at. You put a long blonde hair on this guy, and that's your Glorfindel?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Why not?
All right. Hey, moving on. You guys remember this epic scene, right? You guys remember
That's
this
funny.
epic scene from the end of Return of the King. Let me bring it up on screen. Of course you do. I love you. It's ruining my life, says T with Tolkien. Well, Sideshow and Asmus Toys just revealed today this brand new, up for pre-order, Gollum looking at the ring at the crack of doom. Yep.
That's cool.
A 6th scale figure of Gollum.
Boy, is that wicked.
By Asmus Toys. It pre-orders for $130. Expected to ship between December and February. Looks like it's 7-8 inches tall with a bunch of different things. Arms and hands. Looks like you can pose him a bunch of different ways. Look at that.
That's so cool and kind of really wicked looking.
It's pretty
my
wicked
gosh.
looking, actually.
It is very kind of wicked looking.
Uh,
That's not
Interesting.
Smeagol. Everybody knows that is definitely not Smeagol. That's real Gollum, all the way.
So that's a brand new thing. And you know, Cliff, what else is happening this week? It is Halloween. So of course we have to bring back our favorite Halloween Halloween
it is Halloween.
Ideas. This is T with Tolkien spotted this at Spirit Halloween. It's just a normal Middle Earth dude, incredibly normal, average human, nothing to worry about, just a Middle Earth dude. Definitely not Sauron.
T, oh my God, Caitlin, you are so funny and so beautiful. It's so great. I love that.
This show, man.
So,
I can't. This show is something else. T asks, is this anything? She found this display at Target or Target. Yeah, the Three Hunters. I could see it. The Three Hunters.
Wait. Oh my God. That's too
see
funny.
It? Do you see it?
Yeah, I do. I do see it now.
What do your pumpkin eyes see?
An anonymous girl in the chat. Don't fall for it. It's actually a joke. There is no Middle Earth dude costume for. there's no outfit for Hallbrand, but it is a funny meme. It's a great meme.
Let me ask the chat.
It's funny.
If there was a Middle Earth dude Halbrand costume, would you be buying it? Official merch. Would you make your husband or boy toy wear it?
That's
would
so
you
funny.
want a Halbrand in your life? Because I would. I guess that's all I have to say.
If I could get away with any realistic, really good costume that's Middle Earth, then yeah, I would totally do that.
All right.
If I could get away with it. Justin, what are your big plans for Halloween, by the way?
I don't know. I've lost all my Lord of the Rings costumes. I had a big wizard hat that I can't find anywhere. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I've done.
I just got a brand new wizard's hat that just arrived in the mail. Can I show you guys my new wizard hat? I just got it in the mail yesterday. Let me show you my new wizard's hat. Let me get it for you.
Oh boy.
Yes, so
while
cute.
Cliff is finding that, I did want to ask the chat, because Cliff and I were debating this. For next week. Next week, Tuesday, Torn Tuesday, of course, is the U.S. election for President of the United States and control of Congress. It's kind of a big deal. For everybody in the whole world. So we were debating
Yeah, kinda.
whether to even do the show. So I want to hear from you in the chat. Would you guys still show up and be a part of our little fan communion here, and we can forget about the ongoings in the real world and just bury our heads in Middle Earth? Maybe we can do a whole show on Haladriel and just totally disconnect from reality. Or
Yeah, we
is
could.
to-
We
or
could
is-
totally. We could disconnect from reality, or, you know, we could just realize that a lot of our audience might not be here because they'll be at their polling places doing their voting that afternoon. So we don't know. But I'm down to do a fun show, but here it is. Here's my new wizard's hat. Look at this, guys. And it has an adjustable wire right here in the top of the seam, so I can change the bend in the back of the hat. And I'm going to try it on. It's going to be sort of like this. I need to work on shaping the fabric a little bit, but I've got my wizard's hat, at least. The rest of my costume has not shown up at all, but at least I've got this.
Does it sort?
Nope, it does not sort. It will not sort you. You're just a muggle. I've got it. I got my new Gandalf hat. Not bad. What do you think of the shape, guys? Yeah? Pretty good?
I think you can
pretty good.
double either as a Gandalf or Rings of Power Tom Bombadil.
This could be or a Rings of Power Tom Bombadil. Yes. I was just going to say that. I could do either one of those. But in honor of Dia de los Muertos and Halloween, I'm wearing my Han Solo and Leia calacas. This is, of course, the Mexican style calacas for Han and Leia, because they love each other so much, even in the afterlife. Han and Leia in love.
Question, Cliff.
Oh, look at that.
Do you think Tom Bomb gives Gandalf his hat?
Yes, I assume that is why Tom has the hat that looks like that. I really do assume. I don't know why they didn't show it in season 2, but I thought that Tom Bombadil was already going to give the stranger that hat. But we can't call him the stranger anymore now, can we?
No, thank God.
Thank you.
Thank Eru. I
Thank
almost feel
Eru.
like I feel like Tom Bombadil should have taken his hat off his head and put it on the wizard's head and said, "You shall now be known as Gandalf," or something like that. Like make
Yep.
a
I agree with
physical
that.
a physical action with the passing of the power of the torch, of the name, of the
Yeah.
of the goal. You were sent here for a purpose, and your purpose is this hat. I'm
Your
shocked that
purpose
they
is
didn't
this
do
hat.
anything like that.
Yeah, they didn't, though.
Oh, this is a good question to end on. Cliff, should
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil be in Hunt for Gollum?
Why not? Why not? We have already seen, the character brought out of the woodwork to be in the TV series. So why not have Tom in The Hunt for Gollum? Why not? I still would have to give it a lot of thought to figure out what exactly we want to do with this character in such a story. And, our examination of season 2 of The Rings of Power was that Tom needed to be their sort of like angelic guidance. He was, even with that profound imagery of him holding the baby lamb and looking like Jesus of Nazareth, with the beautiful sunlight coming in the window, and he's holding the baby lamb like the Lamb of God. All of this very kind of, to me, it did seem like rather specific religious symbolism that floated into the room there with the way Tom Bombadil was presented as a angel or an angelic influence for the stranger. So, I mean, that was the way they did it in the TV show, but they could do it differently in, the Warner Brothers film. It could be more like he's like, a nature spirit or the personification of Mother Nature or Father Nature in either sensibility of that idea. They could do all kinds of interesting things. What about you, Justin?
Well,
I
Cliff,
mean, would you like to see Tom Bombadil come in to hunt for Gollum?
when
Would
we
you like
first heard about the rumors, we were exclusive Red Alert. We reported the first rumors of Tom Bombadil. I asked
Yeah,
AI
we
to
did.
to
We did.
tell me what this actor would look like as Tom Bombadil.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's Nick Offerman, right?
Yes, sir.
That is Nick Offerman.
Offerman
Wow.
as Tom Bombadil is dream casting for me.
Not
But,
bad.
but
Oh, Goldberry too. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Paul in the chat says, let's also have Goldberry in the hunt for Gollum. That'd be great too, actually.
I have a second option that I actually have grown more fond of. If Nick Offerman is my first choice, this second choice is close second for the Peter Jackson cinematic version of Tom Bombadil in The Hunt for Gollum. Matt Berry.
That was the biggest fan theory. Everybody on the internets, everybody wanted Matt Berry. That was the big internet buzz at the time. I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
So if we're talking about The Hunt for Gollum, we're talking about a possible cameo of Tom Bombadil. I vote for Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows.
Nice. Okay, cool.
All right, there we
But
go.
no harm. Hey, if there is no Tom Bombadil in The Hunt for Gollum, no harm, no foul. They've got a lot of other characters to introduce and a lot of other storyline that we're curious about what they're developing. A lot of other things. It would just be another maybe considered a tangent for our lead characters to go and visit Tom. And that's the original way Tolkien used Tom Bombadil. He was a little side quest, a little tangent.
Question from
off
the
of the
chat,
main road.
Cliff. Do you think Galadriel and Lothlorien would be in The Hunt for Gollum? Is there a reason for it?
Why not? I don't think there is a reason unless they show conversations between Galadriel and, her future, I mean, after the marriage of Arwen,
I will say
they
this.
are kind of
We
they are
do
related
have-
by marriage. I think that Aragorn and Galadriel are related by marriage after Aragorn and Arwen are wed. So, I mean, if she's going to be shown, it would probably be in that, useful teaching or guidance moment where she's giving guidance to a strider who doesn't know what to do next and needs some guidance. Why not have her appear as a great woman of wisdom? Why not?
Cliff, the interesting thing about introducing Galadriel into Hunt for Gollum is the Hunt for Gollum is at its core is everybody acting on the first report that the ring has been found, right? Gollum has been captured, or Gollum is being chased by Sauron's forces because Gollum has had the ring, right? So they know, everyone knows that the ring has been found, right? That's the core thing. So
no.
introducing
Gandalf doesn't know that the ring has been found until way
so
like
what
after,
are they
he's
hunting
gone
for
for
Gollum?
17 years.
Why are they hunting Gollum then?
Well, Gandalf figures it out later in the process.
We're talking about
Aragorn. It's a 17-year process.
Why is Aragorn hunting Gollum?
Because
you don't have an answer because there is none written.
Well, no, there is an answer. Let me think about it. I would venture to say, and I can get some backup with the chat.
Well, while he's thinking
that-
about that, let me just say that introducing Galadriel would be the first opportunity for Peter Jackson to connect back into Rings of Power and introduce some concepts about the temptation of the ring and the former relationship of the ring, and a reason that they could have a discussion. Aragorn could have a discussion with Lady of Light Galadriel, saying, "We dare not bring the ring here to you, my lady, for reasons that everybody is well aware of. She's weak in the knees."
Well, you know that famous scene where Gandalf goes to Minas Tirith and reads the scrolls in the cavernous library under Minas Tirith? I mean, that's when he really found out. Okay?
What about Durin the Seventh posted a quote in the chat, "Let Isildur's heir labor to repair Isildur's fault."
He found the scroll of Isildur in the year 3017 of the Third Age. Okay? That's when it happened. All right, listen to this. Studying records in Minas Tirith, Gandalf found the scroll of Isildur in Third Age 3017. And from this, he pieced together the missing history of the One Ring. On his way back to the Shire, he got word from the Galathrim, which is those elves who work in the military service with Galadriel and Celeborn in Lothlorien.
Commander of
He
the
got
North.
word from the Galathrim, meaning in Lothlorien, that Aragorn had finally captured Gollum. And so Gandalf went to Mirkwood to meet Aragorn. For days, he interrogated Gollum in order to verify what he already knew. And a great fear came over him when he learned that Gollum had already been to the Dark Tower of Barad-dûr, and Sauron had tortured Gollum and learned of the magic ring and tortured him out of saying the names Shire and Baggins. And that's what we know.
And that's what sets Aragorn on a path to follow and find them at Bree in Gandalf's stead, because he knows what hunts them.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
I still think it's an interesting, introducing Galadriel in The Hunt for Gollum is an interesting opportunity for the films to connect back to the show. Whether they would want to do that or not, that's way above my pay grade. But
Do you know what? The reason now the hunt for Gollum is executed before Gandalf comes to the full realization that the magic ring that Frodo has in his keeping is indeed the One Ring of Power. So all of the events that lead into the hunt for Gollum that all happens before Gandalf confirms his suspicions of the real ring and what that thing is that Frodo has been keeping secret in the Shire.
okay,
So there you go.
there you go. I think it's an opportunity to bring Tom Bombadil
Sure.
into Rings Power, into the Lord of the Rings film franchise. Also, Glorfindel. There are so many potential opportunities to connect deeper to the book lore while also justifying decisions the movie made. And that's kind of the best of both worlds that we can hope now. That we don't want to film. I've never wanted a documentary of the books. I don't want a straight retelling of the books. That's why I love Peter Jackson's movies so much. Don't retell the books. That's a documentary. Right. But now there's opportunity to connect. And it could be as simple, like I said earlier, as Glorfindel talks to Arwen, and Glorfindel sends Arwen to find Frodo and Aragorn, because he will be your magic will be needed to save Frodo, save the ring bearer. Have
maybe.
Glorfindel send Arwen on that task. And it solves everything. It makes the movies more canon to the books while also not changing the context of the original movies that won all the Oscars.
Oh boy. Big shout out in the live chat from Durin the Seventh. I agree 100%. I'm kind of shocked at myself for not having mentioned this earlier in the show. But yeah, we have a chance in the hunt for Gollum to see that Elrond has two twin sons, Eladan and El Rohir. Boy, this is a great opportunity for them to be in this film. I would love that so much. Thank you to you guys in the live chat for reminding me. That would be so spectacular. It would be so great.
You know who I would
Yeah.
love to see as Eladan and Elrohir?
Twins.
Arwen's twin brothers.
Yeah. Arwen's twin brothers, and of course, Elrond and Celebrian, they're twin boys. And gosh, that would be so great to have something of the Eladan and Elrohir in there. Wow, that'd be great. Who do you propose, good sir?
I propose the Sprouse twins, Cole and Dylan Sprouse, as Eladan
my
and
gosh.
Elrohir.
Oh my
Not even
gosh.
joking. Let's bring this full circle, baby. Riverdale coming to
Yeah,
Middle
why
Earth.
not?
Riverdale coming to Rivendell.
No, don't
Cole
even.
Sprouse and Dylan
You're so
Sprouse
funny,
as
dude.
Eladan and Elrohir, bringing Riverdale into Rivendell.
You're
Give
so
it to
funny.
me, Peter Jackson, and
Stop
I will
it.
love you for all life. That's our show for Torn Tuesday. We're going to do the show based on your feedback in the chat. We'll be here next Tuesday, election night, but we'll be here live to talk with you about anything else that is not what real happening in real life. So thank you all
Yes.
for joining us. And thank you,
We're
Cliff,
very-
for showing up. And everybody wishes you the best health after last week.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Actually, really appreciate that. Miracles can happen. I actually saw one happen this afternoon. And so, yeah, it's really good to be back. And don't worry, I'm going to get back to full health. I get to see my specialist tomorrow morning and check out what mystery allergies I might have, because I don't know yet. But I'm good, and you all are really beautiful in your outpouring of support. I give you a word of caution before we close the show that we love Matt, Nerd of the Rings, more than anyone. We love Matt, Nerd of the Rings, so much. He's such a great contributor to YouTube and certainly to the overall Tolkien community at large around the world. But heaven knows, maybe, if anybody else does, maybe heaven knows that I do not sound like that when I do my sign-off. This is how it sounds when I do my sign-off. I want to say thank you to everybody in the live chat. You guys are really beautiful. Thank you for the constant support. Everyone, join our Discord channel. There's great conversations there happening all day, every day. You can also find us on all social channels. Go to theonering.net, take out the dot, and just look up The One Ring Net. Look for us on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and every little social in between. Me, I am QuickBean2000 on Instagram and Twitter. Still struggling to explain why I'm in the hellscape of Twitter. I don't know why. But maybe I'll be on Blue Sky very soon. That'll be fun. Maybe Threads. You guys, please take good care of yourselves. As you always do, look out for one another and be safe and sound. And I will say until next week, join us again next week at Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time for another wonderful show here at Torn Tuesday. We're going to talk all about J.R.R. Tolkien and all kinds of wonderful things in between. Please be good to one another and get your early voting done. That's smart. Very smart. Do that first. And tonight, go Dodgers. One more big shout out as the Dodgers are now in Game 4. Sorry, I have to. There's a little bit of blue blood in my veins. It's got to tap that. There's some Dodger blood going on. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you very soon. Until then, good night and good luck. Or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye, everybody.
The Sprouse
That's how you do it,
twins!
Matt.